So, Mark, it was a crazy week in Las Vegas. We have so much to talk about, but did you see this guy dancing naked in Harrah's? Apparently, his family says he was drugged. Now, I think that's the story anybody would tell if they did this, but based on what happened, it seems like probably that was the case. He hit a one-legged guy, I think, in Flamingo, went out to Link Promenade, ended up in Harrah's. What a crazy story, and it wasn't even the craziest one this week.
Yeah, I first saw the video, and you didn't hear like the before stuff when he gets in a fight with a one-legged man, which I don't know why they bring up the one leg, but it just like adds to the craziness of the whole thing. So fights in the Flamingo, strips naked, runs through the Link Promenade, all that stuff, ends up at Harrah's. Now, what do they do with that table? Do you just light it on fire? Because once you gyrate testicles on a table, I don't think you can use it anymore.
He's got a great Vegas story to tell. That's like a Hangover level story, I think.
You can be like, I'm the Will Ferrell in this real life. We're going streaking through the quad.
A lot going on in Vegas this week. Boring Company has finished their next tunnel. This is the one to Encore. And apparently the one to Westgate is finished as well, but they did announce that the Encore tunnel and that station will be opening in the first quarter of 2024. So the tunnel's done, but now I guess all the road paving, all that stuff has to happen. I think it said they took them 10 weeks to build this tunnel, so at this rate we should have the whole system by 2045.
Yeah, this is supposed to be quicker and easier, but it doesn't seem like it's working out that way so much. And then I know we're going to talk in a bit about the leaked video of what the van might look like that they're doing, but it just looks like everything else. I still don't see how this works with all the humans you need to drive these cars. Even the van looks like it has a steering wheel and a driver's seat and all that stuff. So I don't know how they're going to make this cost effective with all the intensive labor you need for it, as well as all the vehicles and everything. It just seems like a random crazy thing, but hey, it's his dime. Let him spend it, I guess.
So this tunnel is 2,325 feet. So that kind of gives you an idea of the length. So obviously, the big tunnels are going to be a couple miles long. So, we could see what it would take them. This was the first time they didn't need to use a crane to pull the boring machine out of the tunnel for some reason. So I guess it was able to drive itself out. I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, let's talk about that vehicle. Las Vegas locally a few weeks ago hinted that this vehicle existed. Jacob's Life in Vegas, he apparently got a shot of it, so we have a video of what it looks like, and it looks a lot like the concept that they had a few years ago. I couldn't really tell. I think it's somewhere between 10 and 12 seats inside of there, but I tried to kind of look carefully, but it looks good. I mean, it's a big improvement over just a Tesla, right? I mean, they're tripling or quadrupling their capacity.
Yeah, I mean, it'll alleviate some of the issues you have with people whenever this is full going, but getting stuck at stops, waiting in line to have a car pull up. So it should move things along. It's still, I don't think it's as efficient as like a subway car has, how many cars attached to it. Everybody jumps on. You only have one or two people on it working it. So just, that's what I worry about is the amount of labor that you need for this. But hopefully it works. This is definitely an improvement. I'll give them that. And I don't know, do you think it's going to be all open glass like it's showing? I mean, that's kind of cool that you can see all the tunnel from all the different angles and everything. You won't get blocked. You won't feel stuffy even though you're in a tunnel, I feel like.
Yeah, having all that glass is sort of a design feature of Teslas. They have big roofs and things like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if it is for that, and to give that more open space. So this is good news. I mean, we can say that, maybe this won't be great. They're definitely going to have growing pains as they try to figure this out. But even moving taxi traffic below the level of the street will help. So good to see that, and I'm glad they developed the van. Hopefully autonomous vehicles will be on the plate at some point down there.
No.
Marcus scared. On the last show, we talked about Cosmos staying with identity rewards through next year, and we didn't really know what that was about. Obviously, they aligned when they're supposed to switch over to MGM rewards to when the status ends at the end of January next year. But just after we recorded that show and released it, Hyatt and MGM announced that their partnership is ending in September. And, if you're watching this show today and you haven't matched your MGM status to Hyatt or vice versa, this is your last day, the day this comes out, July 14th, to do that. So the status matches are going away in September. The match, you're not going to be able to earn points or anything between these programs. maybe that's a reason they held off on Cosmo too. But this is a big loss for MGM. But we'll talk about Rio in a little bit. And Hyatt is coming to town. So is this a surprise to you?
Yeah, I'm wondering like who initiated this, or was it mutual decision between the two? Like, is this Hyatt saying, "Hey, we're going to be at Rio. We don't really want to mess with MGM," or MGM saying, "Hey, we're tired of paying out these points or whatever." So it's a big loss on the travel side for sure. Anybody that chased Hyatt status because you could get a lot of cheap nights, elite night credit, staying at Excalibur or something like that, and during midweek and not a busy time, you could spend $20, $30, whatever it be, to get a night. So that was as cheap as it gets, really. And then the flip side of this is Hyatt points didn't used to be useful to book the rooms, but with how crazy prices are on the weekends, $500-$600 sometimes for a night, using those Hyatt points became super valuable if you needed to be there on a weekend. So that's a big loss as well. I'm kind of curious, does Marriott move in and take over everything MGM, or are they looking to part ways with that and not having any type of partnership? So that's still kind of up in the air too.
Yeah, that's a big question. Is it going to be Marriott, who we know partners with Cosmo currently? Could they partner with IHG, who partners with Venetian, or some other company, or just stay it alone and realize that maybe they didn't need it? I always got the feeling that Hyatt got the better end of that deal. It was more of Hyatt's customers coming to Vegas and doing that than MGM's customers going out to the wider Hyatt footprint. But I don't know. But yeah, so a lot up in the air. But just make sure if you want to do the stats match, you do it if you're seeing this on the day it came out. And I'm sure we'll learn more as this goes on. And we'll talk a little bit more about Hyatt and Rio just a bit later. But two of the closed COVID casinos, Texas Station, Fiesta, Rancho, we've seen them get torn down. We followed this for years, right? They were closed during COVID. Then Station Casinos said, we're moving out of the neighborhood. They sold the properties, and everything's been torn down except for the ice rink at Fiesta. And now a company has said that they're going to build this massive mixed-use development, experiential, commercial, retail, dining, shopping, residential units, over 600 of them. This is an interesting thing for that area. I wouldn't have thought that area would really support something like this, but this seems like one of those very modern mixed use live work play kind of places.
Yeah, it looks really cool, and I love that they have like a big awning over all of it. It kind of feels like a Fremont Street experience almost, even though there's no like light show or anything. But you don't want to be out there in the middle of summer out in the sun. So that's cool that they got that. Plus, if it rains or something and you're walking around, it's actually really nice to get all that stuff done. And we've talked about Vegas getting crowded and people moving in nonstop, and so maybe this is expanding out there, or they see that area growing in the future, and adding 600 more units for people hopefully alleviates some of that pressure. So that's nice. And as you grow, you need more shopping. So I hope it works out. It looks really great. So I think I'd go check it out for sure.
And it's also going to have the ice arena incorporated into it. I think a sports field. And then they also are filing for a 150 room hotel with a gaming license, which I don't know why I thought this. Maybe I just made this up, that Station Casinos was trying to get that land restricted so you couldn't put a casino there. So maybe that didn't happen. But if you look at, we had these two casinos and small hotels. You did have bowling alley, movie theater. Maybe we'll get some of that back, like a movie theater as well. But I think this is an improvement. You get shopping, you get residential units, and then potentially another casino, a new one, maybe a smaller one. So yeah, I mean, this is a great development, I think. And it hurts to lose those other casinos. I really did love them, but it's glad to see that it's not just going to be a dirt lot for the next 10 years.
It's not going to be all Nut Arena 2.0.
So let's talk about the Rio. They were in front of the Gaming Control Board this week, and basically Dreamscape going in and showing their plans for what they're going to do and talking about it. Caesars is in control, but Dreamscape is starting the moving process. We talked about how they closed off the buffet area. They confirmed that's going to be a food hall. And now we know kind of a time frame on how they're going to renovate the Rio. The first phase is going to be 18 months, and that's going to be the Ipanema Tower. That's sort of the original tower there. 1,500 rooms are going to be renovated into various Hyatt brands, along with the pool, some food and beverage, and the convention space. And then in phase 2, they're going to do the Masquerade Tower, which is that taller, newer tower, 1,000 rooms there, plus more food and beverage. $350 million total for this renovation. I think that's a little lower than we had thought it was going to be. I don't know if that's enough to make Rio what it needs to be with, bringing it down, fixing the plumbing and everything else. But Hyatt's not going to let them open a trashy hotel. So this is good. This is starting now, basically, even before the end of the year. They're getting going, and they were recommended for approval for their gaming license.
I want to first say I love that you said 1,500 instead of 1,500 rooms.
I don't know. because I was reading it off the thing and it said 1.5K, and somehow I just translated that to 1,500.
It cracks me up. But no, I mean, it does seem a little bit on the low end because that's a massive property, and nothing is in good condition really to the level that you want. And like you said, Hyatt, big partnership. They're known for having quality hotels. That's kind of the staple and why a lot of people love them is because no matter what Hyatt you go into, for the most part, more than any other chain, you're going to get quality. So they need to hold up to that end of the bargain. So I imagine the rooms will be nice. Maybe that leaves less money to take care of the more public areas or spaces. So we'll have to see about that, the pool area. And I like that they're talking about, making it for the locals as well as for tourists. Maybe that's starting to make sense to people like, hey, we have this big area, a lot of people in this area. Why aren't we tapping that resource? So hopefully they do something cool with that for the locals.
Yeah, historically, this property always was sort of tourist / local. And then Caesars over the years really went away from marketing to locals. Like they used to have 50% off at the buffet and all kinds of kind of local promotions in addition to the tourists that they were drawing. And that sort of just went away. So I feel like it's a great move back there. They said there's not going to be any nightclub or big DJs there. They are refreshing every square foot of the casino. And this is a very grand resort. It was built, to be a mega resort, even though it's not on the strip. So there's tons of restaurant spaces. It's a big place. So there's a lot to do. And just about every corner of it's looking tired, dated, hasn't been given love in a long time. And how many millions of dollars worth of pillows do they need, right?
Yeah, there's the budget gone right there. Just getting, go to Walmart and buy up all the pillows. Be like Mr. Beast, buy out all the pillows in a store.
So more bad news coming. Venetian Palazzo apparently are going to move towards paid parking. This was reported by Las Vegas locally. It's not confirmed publicly yet. This is not a huge surprise. I had never really thought about this, but obviously with the Sphere opening, they're going to charge for parking there. I mean, you're going to be bringing... I thought maybe we would have event parking, but it makes sense with things going on all the time there that they're going to do this. New owners, they want to get that revenue. Vital Vegas said maybe Wynn will be next. We will see, because they did have paid parking at one point and then they backed away from that. Yeah, more paid parking coming to the Strip. No news because it hasn't been announced whether locals will be free, other ways to get free parking at Venetian. But yeah, this is not a shock.
Yeah, not surprising. I mean, Wynn, I don't think makes as much sense besides just wanting to get the revenue, because who really wants to park that end of the Strip and then walk? I mean, Wynn's set back a bit, so you got to walk down that walkway, to get out onto the Strip, and then you're not really close to anything besides Resorts World. So I don't know why that would make sense, but yeah, this one, Venetian Palazzo, definitely people are going to take advantage of it, especially like you said with the Sphere opening and all those events going on, and people wanting to be somewhat close and not having to pay for it. So hopefully they allow locals, to park free like we've seen some other people do, and hopefully it's not a stupid app like the Strat.
Yeah, hopefully they pay a little bit of money and get away from the QR code nonsense.
Yeah.
Treasure Island does still have free parking, and they have those big signs that say it, so hopefully that'll stick around for a while. It's not too bad of a walk if you're going to the Sphere. Certainly if you're just going to the Venetian Casino, parking at Treasure Island, walking across isn't terrible. It's not the best solution in the world, but, certainly there still is parking there. To your point, the parking garages at Wynn and Encore are far enough away from Venetian that, maybe they won't get overloaded and maybe they'll see it as a positive. All right, so Caesar's Palace. Let's talk about Caesar's Palace. It was in the news for a couple reasons this week. First, this tweet went viral where this guy arrives about 7 p.m., wants to check into the hotel, and there's according to him, a 3 to 4 hour wait. And, Caesars does have kiosks. And I noticed when I checked into Harrah's a couple months ago, there was 6 or 7 people in line, and the kiosks were empty, and people were waiting, and they only had one agent checking people in. And I wonder if part of the problem is that people don't know the kiosks exist, or if people are just trying to get upgrades or whatever, because that is a thing about Vegas casinos. They have so many different types of rooms and room categories. But he's like, screw it. He goes away. He comes back at 1 in the morning or something, tries to check in, still has to wait a long time. And then he found out they gave away his room.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, all hotels have a cutoff time when you're supposed to check in by, and they'll give it. Usually they're not sold out, so they can, reopen it up and give it to you. So that's sad to see. But yeah, I mean, it's the same thing you see at grocery stores or CVS or anything, all those self-checkout. People will wait in line with 5 or 6 people and not use the self-checkout. One, they're either stubborn and they say, it's not my job to do the checkout myself. Okay, then you're wasting your time in line, but that's cool. Or, they don't feel comfortable doing it. So maybe this is the problem with the kiosk, or like you said, maybe trying the $20 sandwich, which is probably $50 sandwich now, trick to get upgraded room, or discuss, views or whatever, or try to talk to the check-in agent and get something better. But my thing is, if you're coming for a weekend and you're there for a short period of time, book the room you want and then just do the kiosk check-in. You don't have to worry about it. Skip the line, or if you have status, go to those status check-ins, which maybe some people don't even know those exist, but that's right around the corner at Caesars. And Caesars Palace is one of the worst. You see long check-in lines there every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. It's horrible.
Yeah, it does get really bad there, and you gave some really good advice. Some other advice I saw was check in at the kiosk, and then if you don't like the room you're given, call the front desk from a house phone, and they will switch you to another room if it's possible. Obviously, maybe they gave you like a first floor with a room with air conditioning, and you just want a normal view. Obviously, they're not going to call them up, give me a suite or something like that. But
I
just don't know it's worth the $50 sandwich trick if I have to wait 4 hours to check in. I'd rather take the worst room possible. And like at that Harrah's check-in, those people were waiting forever. I just walked right up and I had my key in a minute. So it's an interesting thing. But the big news about Caesar's Palace was this guy went nuts, held a woman hostage in his room for 5 hours or something. And the big thing that kind of went crazy on social media was he broke a window and started throwing furniture out there. The police even said this was the worst property destruction, the one officer, that he's ever seen. And obviously the window breaking out gives us, flashbacks to October 1. So there was a lot of fear initially. They had to close the pool area, got everybody undercover. And then once it turned into like a standoff, the casino went back to normal and they just closed the floor. And then after like 5 hours, the police went in and got this guy. He had a knife, no gun. Yeah, it was a crazy thing. It was just nuts to see the furniture flying out the window.
I'm kind of surprised to see. I know it's just one police officer saying this is the worst damage he's ever seen, but you think, that there'd been worse or bigger rooms trashed or parties and suites, but police probably aren't called to that, normally. That's more of an internal thing that they sweep under the rug, so to speak. Yeah, it's definitely a crazy story, scary, especially if you're in the pool and all of a sudden everybody's like, get out, and you hear stuff flying out the window and crashing into the ground. Like, you definitely, this time, these years, the last few years with all the shootings and stuff we've seen, everybody gets nervous. What was it? Late last year where they heard a loud bang and somebody thought it was gunfire and they shut down a whole bunch of casinos when it was just somebody throwing a rock at a window. So everybody's on high alert. So definitely glad nobody ended up getting hurt, and definitely a scary situation for anybody that was in the area.
Yeah, people got hurt during that glass breaking thing where everybody panicked. It seems like the staff did a really good job of keeping everybody calm, getting them safe. The police were able to apprehend the guy. The woman wasn't hurt. So this actually ends up being a good story. Obviously, he's going to go to jail for everything that he did. And he threw every piece of furniture or that he could basically out that window. So yeah, just a nutty story in a nutty week in Las Vegas. Naked people dancing on tables. There was this crazy fight at the Wynn that involved a wheelchair and a lady in a thong or something. I don't know. And then it really was like a week of Hangover. It's like the movie Hangover all in 1 week in Las Vegas.
It's funny because we were talking, before last episode, before filming, and Sean's like, the last couple of weeks, there hasn't been a lot going on. It just seems kind of slow, and Vegas hasn't been super crazy. We don't have a ton to talk about. And then this week, like, everybody lost their mind.
Yeah, everybody lost their mind. We got the tunnels finally expanding. Venetian's going to charge for parking. Rio, we finally got the details of that. So yeah, hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you guys think about anything we discussed on this show. So much going on in Las Vegas, even more that we'll cover on our next show as well. We release 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. And we'll be back in just a couple days with another show. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
See you next week. Have a good weekend.